Hello and welcome to Teleislas News, the most important news of the day.
We're just hours away from the big mass vaccination. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., the immunization process of the entire island population will begin. Governor Everett Harkins gave statements of what the day will be like.
With 60,000 doses of sinovac vaccine, the process of the mass vaccination for the immunization against COVID-19 of the island population will begin. The objective is to vaccinate 6,000 people daily on his first campaign, according to the governor of the archipelago.
I want to send a special hello to my entire community, to my Raisal community. I want to express myself in our native language, and I want to invite all the community, the Raisal community, to assist tomorrow to the point of vaccination in the Cameron Isleño in town. It's very important for us to the community know it's important to vaccinate, to get the vaccine. The vaccine right now, we was talking about yesterday during the interviews that I was given yesterday, and that I was trying to explain the recommendation from the Ministry of Health we was going to use the Janssen vaccine.
The requirement that must be met are to have a definitive resident status or in process, to be affiliated to Sanitas or Nueva EPS, and to be of legal age.
The most important thing is to the people embrace this opportunity. I want to recommend the community. I understand all might be the commentaries that they can have against the vaccine, but nowhere or no part of the world have no more alternative and to use them. In this case, well, in Lardo Beta, we right now going to use Sinovac, and the most important is going to use it in 2 doses. One will start from tomorrow, Thursday till Monday, and the second one 28 days after.
All persons over 80 years old will be able to be vaccinated. Harkins stated that it is important to mention that people less than 90 days after contracting the virus should not be vaccinated, nor should those who have already received their first dose within the national vaccination plan.
The local government is ready to receive the biologicals against COVID-19 and the launch of mass vaccination that will take place tomorrow. The head of health portfolio gives details of the logistics of what will be this great vaccination day.
The local government received 30,000 doses of the Sinovac vaccine that will be applied from June 17 to 21st at the convention center of the Isleño Hotel, from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening, within the framework of the mass vaccination. Strict logistics have been arranged with the departmental government, in which citizens will be segmented in 3 groups to be immunized. This was announced by the departmental health secretary.
Las 3 filas se van a mantener, una fila.
People will be queued up in 3 rows. A row for company employees, a general row, and a row for people with disabilities or any type of health problem. The logistics part has already been arranged since yesterday. There is a fencing as if you're going to buy a concert ticket. The military forces will be there supporting the development of this activity, and several contractors of the Social Development and Health Secretariat will be there, giving indications to the community regarding social distancing and the use of biosafety elements.
Within the logistic, it was also established that those islanders who reside in the sectors such as San Luis and the Hill will be able to travel by bus to get the immunization site at the Center of Convention of the Isleño Hotel.
Taking into account that the Sinovac vaccine will be used in a mass immunization that will be carried out in the department, we made an analysis of the data provided by the World Health Organization on this vaccine.
It is the second Chinese immunizer approved by the World Health Organization and one of those that are used for the international COVAX device for the distribution of anti-COVID vaccine, especially for disadvantaged countries. This vaccine was developed by the Chinese pharmaceutical company Sinovac Biotech and is an inactivated type vaccine since it uses particles of the SARS-CoV-19 coronavirus that cause COVID-19 and that is obtained in a vaccine cultive. The efficacy of the Sinovac is preventing symptomatic COVID-19 cases is 51%, but it is 100% effective in preventing severe cases and hospitalization in the population that were researched according to the World Health Organization. Its efficacy in people over 60 years of age has not been studied. This vaccine can remain stable for 3 years if it's properly stored in common refrigerators and can last up to 42 days at room temperature below 25 degrees. For coronavac effectiveness, a second dose is necessary 14 days after the first. Let us also remember that this vaccine was used in the mass vaccination that was implemented in the municipality of Old Providence.
And the authorities announced that at approximately 11:30 a.m. this morning, they found the lifeless body, apparently by suicide, of Yaiser Cantillo Correa. According to information provided by the police, the body was found on a second floor of a residence in the Tom Hooker sector with a rope around his neck. They also state that the victim suffered from a terminal illness called lupus. Family members state that the 26-year-old had no personal differences with anyone and no romantic partner.
And in other news, through a citizen complaint, the cutting of an endemic specimen of the island was known, and according to the information, it had more than 100 years old. If they continue with its cutting, part of the ancestral heritage of the islands would be extinguished. Different entities and authorities were present at the place of the events.
Coralina and the environmental police are carrying out the preliminary investigation and the visualization of the people who are carrying out the illegal felling activity, although the offenders could not be captured in flagrancy. The coordinator of control and surveillance of the Environmental Corporation, Johnny Walker, explained the facts.
Lately, we have received a large amount of complaints from the sector known as Duppy Gully between the Cove and Barrack sector regarding the felling of endemic specimens that are in danger of extinction, which is the red setter. This case was attended on Monday, in which the logging of an ancient specimen was evidenced in the Duppy Gully woods.
Also, the official added,
we are carrying out controls in different sectors of the island in which this case have happened to develop activities in order to prevent the devastation of natural resources, especially the felling of different trees that are very important for the conservation of the archipelago.
The rival leader that issued the complaint gave his perspective on the matter.
In the area, we got plenty what we call cedar tree, and the white cedar and the red cedar, you understand? So this is a very expensive type of board for people who still work with it. And then going on, people that is not owner of the places is going and selling to who work with it. We have that announced, we have the information. We give thanks to Coralina and also to the people, the police, the environmental police, that there was pending to help us with all of this situation.
And now we continue with information from our sister islands of Old Providence and Catalina. Thanks to an initiative by private companies, 1,000 refrigerators are being donated in Old Providence to those affected by Hurricane Iota.
2 private companies has joined with the Ministry of Mines and the Office of the First Lady to take 1,000 refrigerators to Providence that will be donated to those affected by the hurricane. In this first delivery, 107 of these appliances were donated.
Se están entregando a personas.
They are being delivered to people who meet certain requirements, such as being strata 1 to 3, have a suitable place to have the refrigerator, and have not received any subsidy from the FENOHE. Regarding this type of appliances, we will deliver as many as being permitted to enter the port, and we have estimated the next delivery within a month.
The selection of the beneficiaries is being led by the social manager of the municipality.
Ella con un grupo de personas.
She and a group of people visit the homes, check that the person complies with the requirements, and give us a list that will be evaluated by the Ministry of Mines.
The community expressed their gratitude.
I feel happy and I receive one donation. Well, I thank MB Energy and Grupo Litoral and the Primera Dama and Superhero.
Really, we don't have a condition for buy a new never right now, they never get damaged in a hurricane, so I appreciate them for this, for what they do for me.
It is estimated that the next delivery will be of 200 refrigerators in a month, and the deliveries will be carried on until the month of August.
The Seaflower expedition will return to Old Providence with some of the key scientific projects to assess the before and after of the island's biodiversity in the aftermath of the hurricane.
The Seaflower expedition will return to Old Providence to disseminate the scientific work, but also to study the state of the island's biodiversity after the passage of Hurricane Eta and Iota.
We are doing a second effort to carry on a second field work in the island of the Providence and Catalina. We are here to invite you to get involved to the expedition that is going to take place the next Monday in July. This is an opportunity to socialize the knowledge that we gathered from the last expedition in 2019.
The results of the studies carried out in 2019 will also be shared with the community.
We are going to present the documentaries that we made in 2019 about the rundown of the culture, about the biodiversity of the Seaflower Biosphere Reserve, and about the importance of the research and in an interinstitutional effort. So we invite you to get involved.
In the coming weeks, they will also share information with the community on how to participate in these new activities that will take place in July. They also invite the community to appropriate the knowledge generated in these spaces.
Today in our Community Chronicle, we want to show you the challenge of being a teacher in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic.
Despite the overwhelming consequences of the pandemic, this global crisis has also been an extraordinary time for learning. We're learning how adaptable and resilient our educational systems, teachers, students, and families can be. Yet the change in the dynamics has not been easy.
It was shocking for us as teachers because we had been working at a pace, and with this process it has been very different. We had to make many changes to which we are not used to, considering more than all the management of technology.
Teachers had to adapt their practices and be creative to keep students engaged and capture their attention, as each home became a classroom most of the time without an environment that support learning.
We had to adapt certain practices and renew it to be able to carry out the management of this process. Taking all this into account, many teachers had to acquire computers and smartphones in order to organize their classes and be able to connect with their children. It has not been easy since it is a complex method, because having to give classes from your home, taking into account the connectivity of the island, which is not very good, and considering that many parents did not have the technological resources for their children to connect to the classes.
Not only has it been the change in dynamics, it has also been the fear that they had to face due to the return to face-to-face classes in the midst of the alternation.
At first, we were afraid to face this because we had to have contact with a considerable amount of people, and we see that there are many people who are suffering from the virus. However, we were very positive, and the school principal found a way to make us feel comfortable with this issue.
That's when the teamwork becomes relevant. School principal, teachers, students, and parents have to work together so that this virus stays out of the educational circle.
To be honest, I think it overwhelmed me. And when teachers felt that fear, I had to go in and talk with them and show them that if they comply with the biosecurity protocols and take care of ourselves and the students, everything was going to be fine. And so far, everything has been good.
As teachers began to implement the changes due to the pandemic, they found that they had to combine teaching and feedback to students from a distance, also filling in administrative reports and carry out their families, which turns them into true heroes who have faced all the obstacles that this global pandemic caused by the coronavirus.